Welcome to Soundbite, a reflection inspired by a recent conversation on Girl Take the Lead. I'm your host, Yo Canny. During my conversation with sport and performance psychologist, Dr. Darby Bonomi, she said something that stayed with me. There is no shame in being at the beginning. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Of course, beginners don't know everything. That's why they're beginners. But I've been wondering if being a beginner isn't actually the difficult part, because I've done the opposite. I've pretended. There was a time in my life, it was really important to me to look like I knew what I was doing, even when I didn't. And as I've been thinking about this conversation with Darby, I've gotten curious about where that came from. For me, I think some of the roots go pretty far back. Growing up, I often felt caught between two ethnic identities. Education became very important in my family. My father was highly educated, and knowing things gave him a kind of power. Looking back, I can see how knowledge may also have been one of the ways of responding to prejudice without violence. So, as I've been detangling all of this, I've wondered, when did knowing become connected to belonging for me? When did I don't know begin to feel dangerous? Maybe appearing intelligent wasn't simply about wanting to look good. Maybe it was also about protection. Don't give them a reason to think less of you. Don't make a mistake. Know the answer. Be pleasant. Fit in. And asking for help, I honestly don't remember doing much of that. I was about 29 when I attended my first transformational workshop. Shout out to ODCers that might be listening. I was introduced to the idea of actually making a request. Think about that. I was almost 30 before asking someone directly for something I needed was presented to me as something I could consciously do. So maybe it's not surprising that being a beginner could feel uncomfortable because beginners have to say things like, I don't know. I don't understand. I made a mistake. Could you help me? And if we've somehow learned that our intelligence, competence, achievement, or even our pleasantness helps secure our place in the room, those sentences can feel surprisingly risky. Darby talked about experiencing some of that herself. She used to hesitate to ask questions because she didn't want to reveal that she didn't know. Then she noticed something. Some of the people she considered brilliant were willing to say, I'm not following you. Could you explain that again? They weren't pretending. They were learning. And maybe that's where humility comes in. I used to think humility had something to do with making ourselves smaller. I'm beginning to see it differently. Maybe humility is being able to say, I'm good at many things and I don't know this. Or I've accomplished a lot, but I'm beginner here. I'm intelligent and I need your help. None of those things cancel each other out, right? That's self acceptance. And maybe self acceptance is what and maybe self acceptance is what finally allows us to stop pretending. There's actually a model of skill development that helps put this into perspective. The Dreyfus model of skill acquisition describes 5 stages: novice, advanced beginner, competent, proficient, and expert. We start by needing instructions and rules, right? As a novice. With experience, we begin recognizing patterns and understand context. And eventually, some things that once required tremendous concentration can become much more intuitive. But notice where everyone starts: novice. There is no secret entrance that takes us directly to expert. As Darby said, the only way to get experience is to get experience. So, why would we be ashamed of being exactly where learning requires us to be? And maybe asking for help deserves some reframing too. What if asking for help isn't proof that we don't belong? What if it's actually an act of connection? When I say, could you show me? I'm acknowledging that you know something I don't. I'm allowing you to contribute. I'm opening myself up to learning. And someday the roles may reverse. I'll know something you don't. You can ask me. That's not inadequacy. That's community. And perhaps there's another gift that comes with being a beginner: curiosity. Talked about compassionate curiosity before. And that's when I don't have to protect an image of knowing. I get to wonder and ask questions. I get to experiment, get to make mistakes. I get to play. I get to learn. And I can be an expert in one room and walk into the next as a complete beginner. Both can be true. So maybe the question isn't, am I good enough to do this? Maybe it's, am I secure enough in who I am to let you see me learning? I've spent a lot of my life knowing things, and I'm grateful for that. I love learning. I value education. I don't want to give any of that up. I don't have to use what I know to prove that I'm worthy, though, of belonging. And I don't have to pretend when I don't know. I can simply say, I don't know yet. Can you show me? Maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's humility. Maybe that's self-acceptance. And maybe that's where learning begins. In our next episode, I'll be joined by Lisa Ketchum Hendrickson, founder of Human Recovery. She's also a somatic nurse coach and a nurse with more than 30 years of experience, including over 25 years in level 1 trauma centers and flight nursing. 5 years ago, Lisa's understanding of trauma became deeply personal when she lost her 2 oldest sons 8 months apart to suicide and addiction. Her healing journey changed not only how she understood grief, but how she understood recovery itself. And our conversation expanded the idea of recovery in a way I found really meaningful, because we don't have to be recovering from addiction or the loss of someone we love. We may be recovering from trauma, grief, old survival patterns, ancestral wounds, transitions, or even beliefs and social norms that no longer serve us. At the center of Lisa's work is one simple but powerful idea. We can't heal what we don't feel. And I think there's an interesting connection between these two conversations, the one we're having today in this soundbite and the one with her. Maybe growth asks us to become more willing to acknowledge what's true. I don't know. I need help. This hurts. I'm still learning. I'm still healing. We don't have to pretend our way through any of it. I'm Yo Canny, and thanks for joining me for this soundbite. And I hope you'll join Lisa and me for our next conversation. Bye.